Jerry. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no, I had really a question on 9C. This struck me as pretty unusual to see, and left me feeling a little bit uncomfortable, especially, seeing, a board member who is being hired to run interference with local governments, and we're going to likely discuss some of these, and we already have, and this is kind of the first time I'm learning of what the relationship with Atkins is. And looking back a couple months ago when we had a conversation about the MCORES project, and Commissioner Desloge advocated, not to make a decision right away, and I'm just wondering where we're going to draw the line. How do we know? Is it only going to be on the vote? Is it going to be advocating for decisions, or trying to sway the conversation? And Mr. Attorney, you may be able to weigh in more on what's appropriate, but it just really left me feeling wholly uncomfortable not knowing that ahead of time.
Commissioner, when Commissioner Desloge and I discussed it, an issue came up about how he should recuse himself. What I've recommended right now and what he's agreed to now is that if the issue comes up before, and let me back up for a second, make sure the foundation is in place. Presently, there is no alignment that impacts the CRTPA. So the CRTPA does not have a formal policy role to make as it relates to the MCORE alignment. But the legislation stated that each MPO, which the CRTPA is, would select a person to be a representative on the MCORE in their quarter. So Kristen Dozier, as a commissioner, is our representative on the MCORES. Now, one of the things that has not come up is there has not been any formal decision making done by the CRTPA as it relates to the MCORES. There's been some discussion, but what I've recommended to Commissioner Desloge is that if any issues come up in the future, he should announce the conflict. And he's asked me, and Greg Slay and I've looked at the secondary issue, which is once he announces a conflict, he should discuss the item. My preliminary position on that is that he should not discuss the item. Greg wants me to look at that a little bit closer, and I'm looking at that. But right now, Commissioner Desloge is in agreement with that recommendation. So if an issue comes up before the CRTPA, as it presently stands, each time it comes up involving the MCORES, he will announce that he has a conflict and he will not discuss the item. In my opinion, what I stated was that we should revisit this issue if there's actually any policy decision making that would occur with the CRTPA as it relates to the MCORES. So right now you have a bright line between the MCORE alignment selection and the CRTPA's role. In other words, there's no actual policy considerations being generated by the CRTPA.
Okay. So, and in his role in that position, is he able to lobby CRTPA board members, or should he just refrain from that completely?
It's implicit that the board members, the commissioners that he would lobby is where the alignment was. So I did not address that issue, but I would, if I had to opine, I would say he would not lobby county commissioners, city commissioners, or anyone that was on the CRTPA board. But that issue is not before you because there's no alignment that affects the Leon County area. So I didn't actually address that issue because it wasn't the one that was actually, that should generate a question.
I understand. And okay. Greg, I think we may have talked about it, Slay, last year maybe, about just a registration for lobbyists for CRTPA. Currently, at the city and the county you can register, but there's not really a process to submit a registration to lobby CRTPA. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And by and large, I think when we talked last year, we rarely, if ever, get any lobbying contacts. But again, if that's something that you want to put on a future agenda, yeah, we could put something up and have the board make that discussion, but that would need to be policy direction from the board.
Sure. Yeah, and that's something I would support just for full transparency, so it could be public record anytime somebody does intend to lobby the board. Thank you.
One point.
Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm trying, I have a quick question of understanding here for a second. has the issue come up with this? Because we all serve on different boards. I'm pretty sure that Commissioner Desloge has had a conversation with the attorney about his potential conflicts. I think we all know how to handle conflicts. I'm wondering if I missed something and that there's been an issue that has happened. Did I miss anything there, Thornton or Greg?
No, you didn't. This is done in an abundance of caution. If you recall, there was a meeting where Commissioner Desloge disclosed that he was possibly going to work for or was working for Atkins, and he wanted to make sure there was no conflict. He laid out for us what I put in the memo, which he provided to me. I restated that in the opinion, and it's what I stated earlier. He reached out to me and wanted to make sure that my opinion was still valid. I told him that I felt more comfortable giving him a written document that would outline how I saw the issues. And so that's how this came about. This is more of an abundance of caution because, as you all know, I'm going to call it like I see it. And so when he and I discussed it, I explained to him that this is what I thought the law was in this issue. There's a bright line between the alignment for the MCORES and the role of the CRTPA. And so I outlined that for you. But this is Commissioner Desloge wanted to make sure that it was clear that there was no conflict. So there was no issue that came up, to answer your question.
Thank you, Gordon. We've always allowed our individual commissioners to handle their conflicts by themselves. I've never been a part of a conversation where we've asked the attorney about a specific commissioner's conflict. So I thought maybe I had missed something, but it's good to know that Commissioner Desloge has reached out to you with what potential conflicts and handled it that way. This was different to me, and I just wanted to make sure that again that I didn't miss anything, because this is just different than what we've handled things in the past, where when we've had conflicts, commissioners have stated their conflicts or talked to the attorney prior to the meeting, or the attorney has said whether or not the conflict was there, and we went forward. So I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Thornton, for answering my question.
And just let me follow up. It is different, but Commissioner, because of the high profile of this project, MCORES, I think it was the better approach. Commissioner Desloge reached out to me and wanted to get my opinion on it. So I thought it was appropriate to go ahead and document that to make sure it was clear there was no conflict.
Mr. Chair, can I weigh in on this real quick?
Sure.
Just to clarify, before I ever entered into any kind of relationship, I talked to not only Thornton, but I also talked to Herb at the county and said, I want to be abundantly clear. And in both cases, they said no, for all the reasons Thornton just gave. So I just circled back and said, can I memorialize that so that I make sure if I'm not here to speak for myself and everybody goes, well, or Thornton's not here or Herb is out the door. So this for me was kind of a formality after the fact, but this was done well in advance of me ever even considering this. So.
Okay. Anybody else? Kristen?
Mr. Chair, yeah.